These are called pin punches. You can buy these new at Ace Hardware Store or search online at McMaster-Carr. Any other, eBay is a good place to look. And these come in different diameters, so you want to buy one that's a larger diameter than the shaft on the player valve you're working on. And of course, you grind them down on your grind wheel to the right diameter. Don't forget to wear your safety goggles. And you have to work slowly so you don't heat up the metal. If the metal gets hot, it'll lose its temper and it becomes soft. When you're done, you should be able to run your finger over the edge, and it should feel sharp or distinct on the edges. It's a little difficult to see, but here I have a piece of 1/4 inch thick glass that I use for resurfacing valves. 1/4 inch glass is perfectly flat, so if I'm working on wooden button valves, you can, let's see, you can sand it down to different grades of paper. It has a long way to go. And anyway, this is a skin of kid skin. This is all I've ever used for these horizontal type valves. It's about 35 thousandths thick. You can buy this on eBay. It's very hard to get kid skin anymore. But as you can see, it's sold for the garment industry. And the fuzzy side or the nap side is what you want to have in contact with the mating surface. And you want to glue on this side. Well, because it's prepared for the garment industry, this is lacquered. That's why it's so shiny. So it's important to get a fresh piece of sandpaper. This is 80 grit. You need the the sharp, jagged edges of the new sand on the sandpaper. And you're just on a flat surface, like this piece of glass, you're going to just score this until you're sure that you're down to leather. You can be a little rougher with it than you would think. I like to do it until all the sheen is gone. So here I have two different setups to punch the leather. And this is a piece of hardware store or your home store maple, not the best quality or not the hardest, but I have it set up in my vise. You need it to be on a very hard surface. I usually do this on the floor, on a concrete floor. And if you don't have a vise, you can hold this in the C-clamp and then set that on the floor so that this is on a hard surface. But right now, I'm going to just, and this is what I usually use. This is a piece of Delignit pin block material. You can see I've used it many times, and I sand it down and start all over after the surface is used up. And here's a piece of kid skin, and I'm using a regular hammer, and I want to give it a sharp blow. And you'll see, there it is. It's a perfect circle, the diameter of however you've ground the punch. You can see the way the leather, that's the leather, the hole that would come out. Here's the Delignit pin block material, same difference, but a sharp blow. Oh, I don't think, yeah, there it is. All right, now here's an original standard horizontal valve, and again, this is the back seat. This is what we're going to be replacing. You can see it's snug on there. It doesn't really want to slide up and down easily. but it stays where you put it. And it's flat here. Now, if you make the center hole too small, you'll end up with something that's like a little volcano, where the edges of the hole will be lifted up around the shaft. So I didn't want to grind down one of my own punches, so the hole I've made is too small in here, I think. Not too bad. Now here's an original valve, and this is very important. I've just removed this leather from this felt, and if you're going to replace this felt, it has to be compressed. So I have a big flathead hammer that I picked up at a garage sale. I don't know when, but it's a monster. And I also have this is something I got from Tandy. This is not quite 1/4 of an inch thick, but this is hard rubber that they sell just for the purpose of punching holes in leather. You can see all of the times arch punches have struck both sides of this surface. And when I was working as a full-time restorer, I had to replace this material any number of times. So this is a good thing to have around. Again, I lay this on the concrete floor, and if I'm making brand new felt punchings for this purpose of the valve, I just hammer this a number of times on the concrete, on this rubber, to flatten out the felt. Some restorers will say they iron it. I was taught to pound center rail punchings and front rail punchings in piano work. But this is the important part of looking at the original. You see this ring. This is how you want the leather to be glued, and this allows the leather to be free on the edge, so that it can seat against whatever the outside seat. In the case of a standard, it's wood. So here is another piece of 1/4 inch thick glass that I keep around on my workbench with some sandpaper for truing up surfaces. So here's how I happen to have a full set of arch punches because I'm a retired restorer, and that's how I get the circle of glue. It actually works better after you use it a little while in it. Oops, not a good example. But that gives you the idea. If you don't have an arch punch, you can just use a homemade, improvise a tube of cardboard. And so you'll say, well, how do I get the hole in the middle? The way I used to do it, because I did so many, I just made them up by eye, and then I would throw out the ones that didn't come out really well, because this material costs about $4 a square foot. You're not even going to use 2 square feet. So if you think you're going to want to practice for the future, you can eyeball it. Let's see. This is not on a hard surface, so it didn't go through. But let's see. That's many years of experience. But you can just wait for the glue to set after you glue the leather on, and center your punch with using the hole in here as your bullseye. Again, I'm going to have to hit this harder than I want to, because the surface is not on a firm surface here. And there you go, and that's That's as perfectly centered as you're going to want. Let's see if I can get it backlit. There it is. And to glue the leather to the felt, I use fabric glue. You can get this at Michael's or any place that sells. I think even Walmart has a little fabric section, fabric store. Or you can use Dave Ramey's. He sells a white glue for gluing synthetic cloth onto pneumatics. So there you go. Forgot to show you the finished product. Of course, again, this is more snug than I would want it, but it doesn't hurt anything. You do want to have, this has to wiggle, all of the valve, these have to wiggle, and these have to wiggle a little bit so that they can seat in case the hole isn't drilled perfectly perpendicular to the wood surface. So that's it. And the reason I like to use this kid skin is because it's firm, so that when you work with it, it doesn't stretch. A lot of different types of leather will have a lot of stretch, especially in one direction. So when you make this hole in here, I'm really going to stress it out. You can see it doesn't, the hole doesn't get elongated, it doesn't get any looser, and that's important for sealing so that you don't get any vacuum loss around the stem when the valve is actuated.